Here's how Christmas began. The Lord said to Abram, eventually we'll call him Abraham, the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you. Now, we're not sure why God chose Abram, any more than we're sure why God chose Joseph and God chose Mary. And he tells Abram, I want you to leave everything you know, which was very, very dangerous, because security and safety in ancient times had everything to do with your clan, your tribe, your family, your relatives. And so he's asked to do something that's extraordinarily dangerous. I want you to leave everything you know, everyone you know, in the security of your home, and I will tell you when you get to the place I want you to go. And then the promises begin. And God says to Abram, and I will make you a great nation. Now, Abram's about 75 years old at this point. He doesn't have any children, so he may have thought to himself, great nation, I don't know about great nation. I would be happy just to be a great-grandfather. Maybe we could just start with great-grandfather. I don't think I'm going to live long enough to know that I became a great nation. And the promises continue. And I will bless you. And I will make your name great, which means, Abram, I'm going to make you famous. To which he probably thought, no, I'm not going to be famous. I'm going to be forgotten. Because if I leave everyone I know, and if I leave everything I know, chances are no one will ever know that I even existed. And then the promise continues. And you will be a blessing. Now, this is when, within the cultural context of these ancient times, this didn't even make any sense. Because this was a time of extraordinary violence. In fact, one of the things that kind of, bugs you a little bit if you read the Old Testament is all the violence and all the bloodshed. People weren't in the habit of blessing anybody other than their family. And yet God says to Abram that you are going to be a blessing. And he says, and I'm telling you, nothing's going to get in the way of this happening, because I will bless those, you may have heard this before, I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. In other words, Abram, I'm going to be a part of your story, and I'm going to be a part of the people who follow you story. I'm going to be a part of your children's story, your children's story. I'm going to be a part of this story until this story is completed, and nothing is going to stop it. And then God gets to the completely unbelievable, incoherent, absolutely impossible part of the promise. And he says this, and all peoples, in other words, every people group, every tribe, every clan, every gathering of families. They didn't really have nations the way that we think of nations back then. But every group of people, everybody that speaks the same language, every nation, all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. That is, every single person on the earth will ultimately and eventually be impacted by your life, Abram. Everybody on the planet is somehow going to know your name and is going to be touched indirectly through what I'm about to do through you. Now, the thing that was so strange about this is in this culture, peoples did not bless peoples. And nations did not bless nations. Nations conquered each other, nations enslaved each other, and nations plundered each other. But nations didn't bless nations, tribes didn't bless tribes, clans didn't bless clans. This made absolutely no sense in that culture. And yet Genesis tells us that Abraham chose to believe the unbelievable. That he said to God, I don't know how this can possibly work. I don't have any children. I won't be around to see whether or not I become a nation. But because this is the promise you've made me, Abraham chose to believe this unbelievable, incoherent, literally impossible to fulfill promise. And the virgin's name was Mary, and the angel went to her and said, greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you. And no one in this part of the world had felt like God was with them for a very long time. And you have found favor with God, and you will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. And he will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. And then here's the clincher. And again, just like God's promise to Abraham, this for Mary could have probably made absolutely no sense. And his kingdom will never end. So in the end, God kept his complete promise to Abraham. In the end, God did exactly what he promised Abraham, that through Abraham, every single nation in the world would be blessed through him.